sometimes, people come your way. You have encounters with certain people that affect you in certain ways that are unforgettable and that change the course of your day, that kind of make you reevaluate life in a way. And today was one of those days because, sitting outside of a library, I had just come from a grocery store and had gotten some juice, and I was just sitting down reading, and I was about to finish the juice and head off into the library when somebody came along. And when people come along and they, if they ask me for something like, hey, you got a few cents, you got any quarters, you got any change, you got any dollars, you got any, you got a lighter, you got a cigarette, whatever. People ask me so many things on the street, and I just help where I can. So there was a lady that came by, older lady, and she asked me, hey, do you have any change on you? I'm trying to grab a cup of coffee. And she pointed to the coffee shop that was right over yonder. I said, oh, I don't have any change, but I can go grab you a cup of coffee, we can walk together. She said, okay, cool. So we're walking, and then a couple of her other friends come up, somebody on a bicycle, and then somebody over here. They're like, what are you doing? What you doing with him? She was like, oh, I'm just going to get some drink. I'm just going to get something to drink. He's helping me out. They said, oh, okay. And then he rode off on his bicycle. So we walk over to this place called Rad Coffee in Riverside, right across from the main library. And I notice as she's speaking that she hardly has any teeth. I couldn't see any of her teeth when she was talking. It was like all gummed. Her mouth was like this. So it didn't look like she had any teeth when she spoke. And she was, just a kind of cordial lady, kind lady. But I could tell that she had been living out there for a little while. She had like a bucket in her arm that she was carrying with cleaning utensils and stuff like that. She was just carrying it around. So we walk into the coffee shop, and as we're standing in the line waiting to go up to the cashier, she starts telling me stuff like, oh, okay, what's your name? I said, my name is Jerome. She said, oh, I'm Twyler. My name's Twyler. I said, nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I shook her hand. She said, I knew a Jerome from the Bible. I think there was a Jerome in the Bible or something. He used to write this way, or he used to speak this way. He used to touch a lot of people. I said, oh, I got to look that up. I haven't heard that story. I need to check that out. She started telling me about the Jeromes that she knew throughout history that affected people's lives and had an impact in some way. And it made me feel good, like my name meant something, We get to the cashier, and I say, hey, what do you want? And instead of ordering a typical coffee, she ordered something that I would have never thought she would order. She ordered something called Goosebumps. It was like in the spirit of Halloween, it's that time. It was a Goosebumps kind of milkshake looking cold brew something with a whole bunch of frosting and toppings and gooey green stuff on top of it and whipped cream and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what you want? She was like, yeah, that's what I want. I said, cool. So I grabbed that for her. We're waiting for her drink to come out, and she mentions to me, yeah, it said God bumps. I saw it said God bumps. They have things called speed bumps, but what about God bumps? When God bumps you, right? When God bumps you. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds right. I didn't think to correct her, because I remember the show Goosebumps and reading the Goosebump books, but I like how she turned it into God bumps, like signs from God, synchronicities, little hints, little breadcrumbs on the trail of curiosity. What happens when God bumps you? When you see the signs that are so divine, right? So aligned. So I saw where that kind of intertwined, and I just kind of enjoyed her while we were standing in the line. And then all of a sudden she said something that I'll never forget. She said 9 words that shifted the course of the rest of my whole entire day. She said, I like sucking it and I don't throw up. I said, excuse me? She said, I like sucking it and I don't throw up. I looked at her. I was like, she looked at me. She smiled. And I said, what do you mean by that? She just stayed silent. Have you ever heard something, and as soon as you heard it, you were like, God, I wish I didn't hear that. It was like in the moment, it was almost as if, like, I know she didn't say what I think she said. But then the reality hits you, you're like, yeah, she said that. And then you say, I wish I didn't hear that. She said, I like sucking it. And I don't throw up. She said it so easily. It was like it just rolled off the tongue. It was as if she had said it so many times. It was automatic. She just looked at me. She smiled like it was a matter of fact, like we were just talking about the weather. And then she looked over and she saw a skeleton. You know, the coffee shop was Halloween themed. So there was a skeleton in the corner with the word heavenly on the side for some reason. She went and she pointed at the skeleton's pelvic region. She pointed at the pelvic bone and she said, heavenly. Look, you see? It's heavenly. And I just nodded. Said, okay. Her drink came out. They gave her the drink. I got her a straw. She took it and she said, hey, Jerome, you're a really nice man. You're really nice. You know, you're a gentleman. Thank you so much. I said, hey, it's no problem. You know, my pleasure. And then I opened the door and she left. And we went our separate ways. But since that moment today, I couldn't stop thinking about those 9 words that she said to me. And it was like, you know, we don't understand, we don't realize that there are people right now as I speak, as you are listening to me, as you're hearing these words, there are people that are living lives that we cannot imagine. Doing things day to day in their lives, things that they feel are necessary to thrive or even survive. This is their day-to-day life. And I think to myself, it could be me. It could be you. What do you do when the tables turn? When the scales tip? Life is a trip. But we must understand the gift we all have at hand. So this was just a message for you to let you know that things could always be worse. And we never quite know what worse is until it arrives. What any of us might do just to survive.